Mother's Day 2007, and the operative color of the day is pink. Players will be wearing pink wristbands and using pink bats to raise awareness for breast cancer research. A perfect day to bring your mom to the ballpark, and lots of moms and kids are making their way into Shea Stadium, where the CW11 presents New York Mets baseball. Today, the Mets play the Milwaukee Brewers. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Shea Stadium. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you as the Mets and Brewers play the rubber game of a three-game series. And on Mother's Day at Shea, nobody's mom is happier than that of Carlos Gomez, because 21-year-old Gomez from the Dominican Republic has been called up by the Mets and will be in the lineup for the Mets this afternoon.
What a Mother's Day present. You're right, Gary. Great pink tie. I'm sorry I didn't get the memo. I think it's great for Gomez to come up. He has a lot of speed, 17 stolen bases. That led the PCL. And also, he's a great outfielder, so he's going to be able to cover some more ground, batting 8th in today's lineup.
He'll take Mike Pelfrey's spot on the roster. Pelfrey yesterday fell to 0-5 with the loss. He'll be sent down to New Orleans to get some work there.
He did take his lumps and bruises here. Hopefully he'll go down, work on his game. Talked to some of the Mets officials, and he said that he was angry at himself at first because he did not make the most of his chance, but he realizes that he has more work to do before he's ready to pitch here.
A couple of questions arise from today's moves. One is, how long will Moises Alou be out? He's got a strained left quad. They're saying a few days, but, you know, with Mo's history of injury, and he's 40 years old, you just don't know.
You're right, and I think he set a precedent, Gary. When he hurt his knee earlier in the season, it was 4 or 5 days before he was back in the lineup, and I think that's the kind of time he needs, not only to have it heal, but he also needs those days off. So they brought up Gomez, and Gomez will take his place for a few days.
And then the question is, who gets Pelfrey's spot in the rotation? It doesn't look like El Duque will be ready.
El Duque will not be ready. The guys in AAA are not pitching great. Jason Vargas, the left-hander, he has a high ERA. Chan-Ho Park in his last start got lit up. So you don't know who the Mets are going to be able to call up to replace Pelfrey on Thursday, but maybe they might go inside their own team with Aaron Seeley in the bullpen.
And a long shot might be Kevin Mulvey out of AA. As for today, a couple of quality left-handers on the mound. Oliver Perez for the Mets, and Chris Capuano goes for the Brewers. He's 5-0, and he's established himself as one of the best left-handers in baseball.
He has, and he always gets off to a quick start. 10-1 last season during the first half as you replace Tom Glavine on the All-Star team.
So it's Perez against Capuano as the Mets and Brewers play the rubber game of their three-game series. It's Mother's Day at Shea Stadium. Back with all the action in the pink from Shea on the CW11. Well, there is Carlos Gomez, set to make his major league debut. Just called up from AAA, and it looks like the barber got him. Came in with some fluffy curls. They're gone now. Oliver Perez will make the start for the Mets. 4 tremendous innings in San Francisco in his last start before the roof caved in. And that leads us to our keys to the game, brought to you by your local BMW dealers.
Which Perez, last game he was victimized by some bad defense and some bad calls. The Mets, of course, when score first, usually that's Jose Reyes. And Capuano, strong start, 5-0, 10-4 last year in the first half, 1-8 in the second half. And do not try to steal off Chris Capuano, one of the best moves in baseball.
And in fact, nobody's tried to steal in the last 19 starts that he's made. Mets and Brewers, game 3 of the series. Mets took the opener on Friday night, and the Brewers got even yesterday. We'll see how it goes today on Mother's Day. First pitch coming right up.
The only thing I regret is she didn't get to see me play at this level. She's always in my heart, and I miss her dearly.
Paul Lo Duca on his mom, Lucy, who was instrumental in getting his baseball career started. You know, you hear players talk about their dads all the time, but so many moms are instrumental in getting guys to their games, helping them out in ways on and off the field, and a lot of them give credit to their moms to getting them to the big leagues.
Well, mine was a lot like Paul's. My mom had a great arm. She played softball, so she taught me a lot about baseball. In fact, Dad, close your ears. Mom had the real talent as far as baseball is concerned in the Darling household.
You'll hear about that one on Father's Day. Here's the Mets lineup, brought to you by Toyota. A smart way to keep moving forward for the Brewers this afternoon. J.J. Hardy now tied for the National League lead in home runs. He has had a magnificent season and a magnificent series. 2-run homer on Friday night and then a grand slam yesterday, as the Brewers have now hit the most home runs of any team in the National League and scored the second most runs.
Well, Oliver Perez in his last start ended up giving up 8 runs. 2 of them earned. Bad calls by the umpire and the home run by Molina. A misplay by Sean Green and Damion Easley kept that inning going, but Perez has been outstanding all season long. And the Nissan defense look at the defense is brought to you by your local Nissan dealers. And see those corner outfielders with Beltran, Chavez, and Gomez. Just throw it over the plate and let them go get it, because Gomez is an outstanding outfielder. Castro, of course, getting the start catching, and Julio Franco at first base.
I don't think you're ever going to find a whole lot more speed in an outfield than the Mets are putting out there today, with Gomez, who was compared by one scout in his center field play to Torrey Hunter.
Wow.
That's pretty high praise right there. Ricky Weeks will lead it off for the Brewers. Weeks got the day off yesterday. He's been struggling a bit with the bat, hitting at .242. And Oliver Perez gets the day started with a fastball that misses 1-0. Weeks' defense has improved greatly this year, and he's been getting on base via the walk. And Perez falls behind 2-0. Jay Hardy, who has been just phenomenal, waiting on deck. And then Prince Fielder in the opening inning. And Perez throws a strike. Oliver Perez in his last start was brilliant, just brilliant for the first 4 innings in San Francisco. And he walked the leadoff man in the 5th and got a bad call on the Molina home run, and then gave up a hit to Barry Zito of all people, and a couple of bad defensive plays, and it all came crashing down. He's behind on Weeks now, 3-1. Well, when Gomez came into the clubhouse today, he had a nice head of hair. Gone.
See him out there in right field. I think that's the most nerve-wracking part for a young player, is playing a new outfield in this sunshine.
And also you got the the triple-decked stadiums, which you're not used to playing in the minor leagues. It's a different experience playing the outfield. Three and 2 to Weeks. Slashed foul. Big crowd gathered on Mother's Day at Shea. Temperature has cooled down. It's only about 63 degrees at game time. A little breeze blowing in. But if you sit in the sun, it's just a perfect afternoon to be at the ballpark and watch Citi Field go up. The Brewers have been a very pesky team during this series, and I think they've shown everybody that they're not a fluke. You know, whether they win or not over the long term remains to be seen, but they've got talent and they play the game right.
Yeah, they're a legit team, especially with that starting staff. Their bullpen showed how excellent they can be in yesterday's game.
And the Mets haven't even seen the best of the Brewers bullpen. Turnbow and Cordero, their 8th and 9th inning guys.
In a way, good for the Brewers. Francisco Cordero, who's been 15 saves and 15 opportunities, pitched in 6 straight games, so he's had a couple of days off.
Ned Yost, 5 years as the Brewers manager, and it's starting to pay some dividends. And Weeks takes ball 4, so a 9-pitch at bat to lead off the game, and Weeks is on with a walk. And as you know, with Perez, his walks have come in bunches, and mostly in one big bunch. Game against the Phillies, in which he walked 7. He's only walked a total of 5 in his other 5 starts. So here's the guy everybody's talking about, J.J. Hardy, tied for the league lead in home runs and in RBIs. 7 RBIs in the first 2 games of this series. And Perez misses badly for ball 1.
Well, this one off Joe Smith. Gary, that sinker in, first pitch, and everything he seems to hit or touch turns to gold.
That turned a 5-3 game into a 9-3 game, and he's the first shortstop with a share of the home run lead in the National League this late in the season since 1986. Hubie Brooks at that time was a Montreal Expo and gone to the Expos in the deal for Gary Carter. And Perez struggling with his control early in this game.
Well, this is where you like to see Perez. Can he make an adjustment, throwing the ball in the same spot 2 times in a row? Can he keep that shoulder closed, lower that ball? and throw a strike.
Prince Fielder waiting on deck. And Hardy takes a strike. Nice sunburst design put together by the grounds crew. Hardy to right center field, playable for Gomez. And so he gets his first opportunity to touch the ball in the major leagues and handles the fly ball from Hardy for the first out. It's nice to get him involved quickly.
I wonder what his heart rate is right now on that fly ball, waiting for that thing to come down. Exciting times for the 21-year-old. You know what's good about that? That was a 2-1 count to Hardy, and Perez was able to add a little, and really in a fastball hitting count, able to beat Hardy.
The term that they use on Carlos Gomez most often right now is raw. Raw talent. Here's Prince Fielder, and he takes ball one. I mean, they talk about Gomez as a 5-tool type player. Now, he hasn't hit for any power in the minor leagues yet, but he's 6'4", 200 pounds, so you figure that that's going to come. But he's got a terrific arm. They say he's an outstanding outfielder. He can run to left center, and Beltran on the run. And the Gold Glover tracks it down for the second out. And Weeks goes back to first, 2 away.
Well, already that outfield paying dividends. Both those plays were made to look awfully easy. Both Gomez and Beltran in center field. That ball was tailing away from Carlos.
And it helps to have your best outfield out there with Perez on the mound. It's kind of like when Sid Fernandez pitched for the Mets. You're going to get more fly balls than you do from any other pitcher.
Only 25% of his outs been by way of ground ball from Oliver Perez, who usually gets his outs fly balls, pop-ups, and strikeouts.
And that's the lowest percentage of ground ball outs for any pitcher in the major leagues. So 2 away, and Bill Hall the batter. Hall had 3 hits yesterday, and he's using that pink bat, as you can see, as he fouls away the breaking ball. Hall used that pink bat to great effect last year. Mets were in Milwaukee on Mother's Day, and in the 10th inning, Hall hit a walk-off home run with that pink bat. And then the bat went up for auction, and the Brewers owner, Mark Atanasio, bid for the bat, won it, and then presented it to Bill's mother, which was a great touch. Hall fouls it away. This was last year on Mother's Day. Hall going oppo. And that was a game winner. Made a legend of the pink bat.
I do have to say that Mark Antanasio, a class guy, really brought a lot of class to this Brewers organization.
And he is watching his team sport the best record in baseball through the first 6 weeks.
You know, a lot of his friends, Mark lives in Los Angeles, his main house in Los Angeles. A lot of his friends, when he said that I'm going to buy a baseball team, they assumed it was the Dodgers. He said, no, I'm going to buy the Milwaukee Brewers. Are you kidding me? But it's worked out great.
Well, he's added some payroll. They've waited for young talent like a Bill Hall to develop, rewarded those young players accordingly, and it's paying off. Hall gets under one and fouls it off the left side. And they've taken a gamble with Bill Hall this year, moving him from the infield and turning him into a center fielder.
Well, he's a great athlete. He'll make the transition. I think he's a better infielder than outfielder, but you know, he'll just get better as the season goes along.
As shown in this series, there are still some bumps in that road. A dropped fly ball Friday night, an ill-advised dive yesterday on the Shawn Green triple. But when you hit 35 home runs like Hall did last year, and you've got a shortstop like Hardy, who they needed to make space for after he was hurt most of last year, as you look at Johnny Estrada on deck, the equation seemed to be correct. On 0-2, Hall takes high. Brewers at 25-11. And, well, they're a third of their way to their win total of last season. And we're not even a quarter of the way through this season. So they are starting to turn things around.
You're talking about Bill Hall and getting his bat in the lineup. That's the Davey Johnson school of lineup cards. If you can hit, you're in.
Struck him out. Perez with the fastball, fans haul. So after the leadoff walk, Perez settles in. A couple of fly balls and a strikeout. And Reyes and company will go to work against Chris Capuano in the bottom of the first. 28-year-old Chris Capuano off to a magnificent start this season. As we check out the Mets lineup, brought to you by Toyota, a smart way to keep moving forward, and a very much a Sunday lineup today. Julio Franco hitting 5th. Castro, Chavez, and Carlos Gomez all getting the starts today against Capuano.
Well, Chris Capuano, you'll see that perfect record. Western Massachusetts native. Phi Beta Kappa in economics at Duke University, as is the Mets Schoenweiss from Duke University, but he's just been outstanding so far for the Brewers.
Well, here's Reyes, who's hitless in this series. His 14-game hitting streak came to an end Friday night. 0 for 7 in the 2 games. The Mets have been off to a great start this year against left-handed pitching. As a team, they're batting .345 against lefties, and Reyes has been a big part of that, hitting .459 from this side of the plate. And Capuano, who stylistically is a little like Tom Glavine.
Yeah, kind of a short armor, fastballs, change-ups, a little slurve that he'll throw occasionally.
They say his changeup has improved greatly this year. And there it is. And it's 2-1.
Well, he does a nice job of hiding the ball. Watch how he stays really compact, big strong legs, and kind of short arms it. You don't see it really to the last second, lands on that very stiff front leg.
2-1 to Reyes. It'll be interesting if the Mets get some base runners today, because the Mets with Reyes, Chavez, and Gomez have tremendous speed in the lineup. Throw in Beltran and Wright as well. But with Capuano's move, it really negates a lot of that speed. And we'll find out immediately with Reyes drawing a leadoff walk.
Here's a look at the defense as it's brought to you by your local Nissan dealers. You see that Mensch, who had the start in right field in game 1, is in left field. Hart, who had a 2-run triple in yesterday's game, Corey Hart in right field. Estrada again doing the catching 3 days in a row. Graffinino moves over from second base to third base, plays a counsel.
Here's Damion Easley. How good is Chris Capuano's move? He's worked 482 innings in his career and given up 7 stolen bases. In fact, nobody has attempted a stolen base, even attempted one, in Capuano's last 19 starts.
His move is so good for you New York baseball fans. Probably Andy Pettitte comes to mind when you think of a great left-handed move. His move is so good that some players will literally have a little league lead. They'll either stand on the base or be 1 foot away from the base. That's how good he is.
Reyes with 20 steals on the year. Damion Easley hitting second in the order. And Capuano struggling with his control early. Easley 4 for 6 against Capuano, including a home run. And while Damion didn't start yesterday, if you look at Capuano's numbers against base stealers, while Easley didn't start yesterday, his bat hit a home run. And that's because David Newhan borrowed Easley's bat to hit his pinch hit home run in yesterday's game.
Well, watch from the stretch, Capuano. That high leg kick. He's looking at the base and then looks home and back to first. That's very Andy Pettitte-like. That's how Andy used to do it, but still does it.
Easley hits it deep to left field. Back goes Mensch, back near the wall, and it's out of here. Damion Easley, a power pack. His 5th home run in just 49 at-bats, and the Mets are out to a 2-0 lead.
So the Mets off to a fast start against Chris Capuano. And here's Carlos Beltran, who's hitting .474 as a right-hand batter, and he takes a strike.
I don't think there's anyone on the Met team better at getting a pitch in a fastball situation and putting a stroke on it as Damion Easley has so far in the season.
Beltran trying to slow Capuano down. That's only the 3rd home run Capuano has allowed. This is his 8th start. And Easley averaging better than a home run every 10 at bats. That's amazing. One and one to Beltran, and he hits one well to center, but playable for Hall. And that's the first out. One away.
If you put all of Damion Easley's home runs in a package, you would see that it's almost the same spot. Out over the plate, about waist high, and that's where he does his damage. And that was a long home run. He knew it as soon as he hit it. What kind of odds would you get, Gary, for this part of the season? You would bet that Damion Easley had more home runs than Wright or Delgado.
It is amazing. Here's David Wright, like Beltran, sporting the pink bat today. And he hits it hard into left field, a base hit. So the Mets jumping on Capuano early. And remember their success against lefties this year. And they've gotten it started quickly against one of the better lefties around.
Wright ready to hit, gets that fastball right down the middle. And you've seen that swing of Wright is not only right on time now, but it's also a lot quicker, his bats, quicker inside.
David's now got a 6-game hitting streak going with that base hit. And it was Julio Franco starting for just the 3rd time this season and hitting 5th in the order today. He's had only 15 at-bats this year. No pink bat, but pink wristbands for Franco, like the home plate umpire James Hoy. All the pink today is to demonstrate the need to continue research into breast cancer.
See Ricky Weeks here at double play depth, playing way over to second base. That leaves a huge hole for Franco. Loves to shoot that fastball through that hole.
Really pinching the middle there with Weeks and Hardy. And right back to the bag. You're talking about guys taking short leads. I've never seen a reaction to a pitcher with a good move more profound than when Kenny Rogers pitched for the Mets in the '99 championship series. And yeah, we know how it ended. But Andrew Jones would not take a lead. As Franco shoots one foul down the right field side, Andrew would stand with his foot on the bag until Rogers threw the ball home.
That's the Little League league. Don't leave until the ball crosses the plate.
Well, that's including the first inning today. The Mets have just stomped on lefties, and when you remember the troubles that they had against left-handers the second half of last year, it's a stunning turnaround. Of course, the personnel has changed somewhat, but really it's the switch hitters.
You're right. The addition of Alou definitely helped, but it is the switch hitters and how they're hitting from the side that they struggled from last season.
There's Ramon Castro hitting 6th in the order today. Oh, 2 to Franco. There goes Wright, and the pitch gets away, and Wright will get a stolen base. It's the first attempt against Capuano in 20 games, and when he bounced the breaking ball, Wright stole the base, his 5th of the year.
Well, it's like a badge of honor to steal a base against Capuano, but here, because of the slider down and in, that's moving really on first movement from Capuano. Estrada not able to get in front of that pitch.
0-2 is a good pitch to run on, isn't it?
Well, it's a good pitch because usually it's going to be a breaking ball. Usually it's going to be something out of the strike zone.
So now an RBI chance for Franco on 1-2. And that cutter misses inside, and it's 2-2. Mets going with the traditional look today. Pinstripes, blue caps, helmets, and socks.
It's a good looking uni.
Perez hoping the Mets can add to the lead they've already given him. This has been such an interesting series to watch, especially when you consider, the Brewers, kind of an upstart team coming in here and trying to prove their mettle against clearly one of the best teams in the league. And a good changeup by Capuano strikes out Franco for the second out. And there's been a lot of back and forth in this series, and it's really been fun to watch.
A good changeup from Capuano, and The Mets have really had their way with the Milwaukee Brewers since they moved in the National League, but I think those days are done. They're much too strong of a team now.
But really, after taking it on the chin yesterday, it was important for the Mets to come out and get a couple of runs early, which is exactly what they've done. Here's Castro starting behind the plate today, making his 9th start of the year.
Well, the Mets have played 35 games. Their record is the same as it was last year.
And Castro takes inside from Capuano, 1-0. Ramon hitting at .235. He's got 3 home runs, hit those home runs very quickly this year. Andy Chavez getting a rare start against a lefty with Alou out of the lineup today. Castro punches it foul, 1-1. Mets with 2 runs home here in the first on Damion Easley's 2-run homer. So let's see. That bat of Easley's hit a home run on Friday night. He hit one himself. The bat hit a home run yesterday because he lent it to Newhan. And the bat had yet another home run in it today.
You better watch the bat stack. You might not have any bats by the end of the week.
2-1 to Castro. Well, I asked Newhan why, and he said, well, it's got a little bigger barrel. I figure I had a little more chance to find the sweet spot. He did. First pitch he saw yesterday from Ben Sheets. 2-1 to Castro. And the changeup misses, and it's 3-1. So it's not coming easily for Capuano in the first inning. Guy who walks very few, gives up very few home runs, and he's already walked 1 and given up a home run in this inning.
Be interesting to see on the 3-1 count. Ramon Castro, good fastball hitter. Left-handed Chavez up next. You might see a changeup on this pitch from Capuano.
And Castro bloops it into shallow center. Base hit right around third, heading home. Hall's throw misses the cutoff man. Right scores, and it's 3-0 New York. Ramon Castro with his 10th RBI.
Well, good job by Castro. Thinking along with Capuano. That was a changeup down and in. Just able to get it off the end of the bat. Bill Hall with a strong throw, but Wright had a good lead at second base. And Capuano, I don't know what he's doing, not backing up the catcher. He's lucky that ball didn't go past Estrada. Would have cost him another base with Castro. Just cannot do that as a starting pitcher.
So Castro comes through, and an early visit to the mound by Mike Maddox, the pitching coach, as Wright celebrates his resurgence. That's Ned Yost out there. That's not Maddox. A little surprising to see the manager out there, and he has given a serious talking to Chris Capuano. That's fascinating, isn't it?
That was more of a boot in the fanny kind of talk right there.
That was more, you're my ace, what are you doing?
Let's go.
Yeah, Ben Sheets has been the ace of that Milwaukee staff for a long time, and he pitched very well at times yesterday. But Capuano has been the guy. I mean, he was last year, and he has pitched like it so far this year, but the Mets have jumped on him early. Now here's Chavez, and Andy slashes one foul. Andy making just his 7th start of the year, and
everybody clap your hands.
Well, those pink bats are red hot so far.
not often that Capuano gives up runs in the first inning, but he has today. In fact, in the first 5 innings of his first 7 starts, he had given up a total of 5 runs. Most of the runs against him had come late in games. Andy chops one to short, and Hardy's got it. Makes the throw to first in time to end the inning, but a productive first inning for the Mets against a tough left-hander. Damion Easley providing the keynote address with his 5th home run of the year, a 2-run shot, and the Mets hand Oliver Perez a 3-0 lead. Oliver Perez take to a 3-0 lead as we go to the second. Perez worked around a leadoff walk in the top of the first. Capuano couldn't do the same in the bottom of the first. Johnny Estrada 2 for 9 in this series. He started all 3 games. It's a little surprising.
Yeah.
And he takes a breaking ball for a strike. Although I guess the figuring by Ned Yost today anyway is that with Capuano on the mound, you don't need Damian Miller's throwing ability. As Estrada lines one foul. He eludes the fan and the ball boy, and it's 0-2. Estrada clearly the better hitter of the Brewers catching tandem.
We talked about it on the first night. When he catches Damian Miller, the Brewers are 9-0. 10-0 when he starts. He had to start at first base.
In the air, shallow right, long run, and Gomez gets there easily. One away. Boy, what a difference having that kind of speed in right field.
Well, this fastball beats Estrada, kind of loops it down the right field line, and those young legs made that play look simple. I got it. I got it.
The left fielder, number
Yeah,
24, Kevin Mensch.
One out and nobody on. Here's Kevin Mensch. And the blue hand hits one deep to left. And Chavez is there. Lots of work for Met outfielders early in this game. And I'll tell you what, it's really fun to watch with these three out there because they can all really run to baseballs and hit in the air. Beltran, of course, has the Gold Glove.
The right fielder, number 1.
Gomez making his big league debut, and we've all seen what Chavez can do.
Very rarely do you see it anymore, but you have 3 center fielders playing the outfield today.
Here's Corey Hart. And a 2-run triple in the game yesterday, and he takes ball 1. Hart, who stands 6'6", has power, he can run. And the Brewers trying to find a spot for him. They've been playing him against left-handers. And he hits one in the air to right. And this one for Gomez. And so Gomez catches the fly ball, and now he'll have his first big league at bat, as Carlos Gomez will come up to lead off in the bottom of the second with the Mets up 3-0.
Miss Nissan's Play of the Week tonight on the CW11 News at 10. Brought to you by Nissan.
The Mets Ticket Marketplace is the easiest and best way to access premium seat locations at Shea. Sign up for your membership at Mets.com. You can purchase available Prime Club and box seats for single games directly from the Mets Ticket Marketplace. Carlos Gomez, first swing in the big leagues, and he tops one foul and runs his hardest down to first base. And he is quick.
Boy, at one point I thought he was going to look like Bo Jackson. Remember that thing from the Seattle Superdome where he ran right out of the stadium? Boy, he can run.
He almost looks not like Reyes, and Reyes will tell you that Gomez is faster than he is.
Wow.
But Gomez almost looks like you're playing the tape in fast motion.
Yes.
When you show that, his legs just, it doesn't look natural. 1-1 to Gomez, who's just 21 years of age. He was hitting .286 in AAA, couple of home runs, 17 stolen bases to lead the Pacific Coast League. And he pulls one down to third, an extra base hit down the line. Carlos Gomez with a base hit in his first big league at bat, and he pulls into second base easily with a double. Welcome to the big leagues, Carlos Gomez, and get that baseball for safekeeping.
Boy, there's nothing like your first AB. Boy, see, Graffinito's off the line, not able to get that ball down the line. And once it's academic, when it's down the line, to watch him, different running style from Reyes, long, looping strides. Just as beautiful to watch. Graffinito with a good try, but playing too far off the line.
Yeah, it's funny. You watch Reyes run, Beltran run, Gomez run. They're all fast, but they all look so different running those bases. Oliver Perez looking to move the runner with the bunt. He has certainly swung the bat well this year, but he bunts it foul. Oliver has 5 hits and 13 at bats. He's hitting .385, and he wants a face-to-face with Sandy Alomar before he goes on.
Well, when I see Beltran run, he runs like a track star. Reyes, like a point guard. And Gomez, to me, runs like a running back. He's kind of hulky the way he runs.
Kind of like Willie Mays used to run with those arms out. Brewers play for the bunt. Gomez wore number 88 during spring training, and Charlie Samuel said he had half a mind to keep him in 88, but he changed his mind and gave him a real number.
Good move, Charlie.
88's an interesting number, though. Perez lunging at the bunt attempt and fouling it off, and it's 0-2. Reyes waiting on deck, and then Damion Easley. Mets off to a fast start this afternoon against one of the best left-handers in the game in Chris Capuano. See if Perez is still bunting here with 2 strikes. Swings the bat and dribbles one, and that has the effect of a bunt. See, he should have done that all along. He does get credit for a time at bat, but he also moves Gomez over to third with the first out.
Well, sometimes it's good to have a pitcher swing. Just hits this off the end of the bat. Serves as a bunt, a swinging bunt, and gets Gomez over. And pretty funny, Oliver Perez, is he running down the first base line? Yeah, I did a good job. Yeah, I'm good.
Well, he knew he'd get the high fives when he went back to the dugout. So the infield comes in with Reyes up, with Gomez at third, and Reyes takes a strike. Jose walked and scored in the first inning, his 32nd run scored. Came into the day third in the league in runs scored. And the infield up for the Brewers. And Reyes pulls it down to third. Gomez has to go back, and Graffinino throws out Reyes for the second out. So Reyes can't get the run in, and there are 2 away.
Well, in that situation, Alomar will tell the base runner Gomez, you're going on first contact, which he does, unless it's back to the pitcher or to the third baseman. Good job by Gomez, reading contact, knowing where it was, getting back to the base.
Reyes now just 3 for 6 getting runners in from third with less than 2 outs. So it's left to Damion Easley, who got the Mets off to the fast start with a 2-run homer in the first inning. 5 home runs and 49 at bats now for Easley, and he lays off the breaking ball, 1-0.
Well, Easley hit that fastball off Capuano, so the runner, Carlos Gomez, has to be very aware of not only the changeup in the dirt, but the slider in the dirt that got away from Estrada before. If it gets away even 10, 12 feet, he has the kind of speed to score a run.
Easley gets another changeup and swings over it as we check out the first run of the game, brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. And Easley got the Mets started in great fashion with that 2-run homer. So that's the first and second run recap. It's a double Dunkin' Donuts. Easley gets a fastball, but it's on the inside corner, and it's 1-2. Carlos Beltran on deck. Easley hitting second today with David Wright in the cleanup spot. Different lineup for the Mets today. And Easley tops one down toward third. They let it roll, and it goes foul. Graffinino's only hope was that that ball would roll foul, and it did.
And Damion got a bad break there because I think that would have stayed fair, but it hit where the grass meets the dirt and jumped left really quick, about 10 feet short of the base. Watch he tap it down the third base line. It looks like it has a chance to stay fair, but it'll hit the grass and the dirt cut out and jump right to the left.
So Easley back in with a 1-2 count, with Gomez at third and 2 down.
Hit hard toward the hole. Hardy can't get it, base hit. Gomez in to score, and it's 4-0 New York. Damion Easley with his 3rd run batted in the first 2 innings, as he finds the hole to get the run home.
Well, good hitting by Easley. Trying to go back inside was Capuano. Did not get it in enough. This is one of the few things that Hardy hasn't been able to do this weekend for the Brewers, as it just eludes him in the hole.
It hardly eluded Hardy. So Easley aboard, and here's Beltran. And Carlos takes the changeup low. Beltran fly to center his first time up. And after a brief skid, Beltran's hit in 4 straight games. And that's the key to a great season, isn't it? Is keeping those poor streaks short. 2-0 to Carlos.
You know, a lot of times when you look at an organization, you always look at the stars, whether it's Wright or Reyes and the team that Omar and his crew put together. But boy, Valentin last year, Easley this year, just some of those peripheral players have just been so outstanding for the Mets.
Chavez, of course.
Yes.
2-1 to Beltran.
Well, that's a good breaking ball for Capuano. Completely fools Beltran.
It's already been a big day for Damion Easley. And the Mets off to a 4-0 start. Beltran takes the fastball off the plate, and Capuano behind again, 3-1. Yesterday the Mets fell behind 4-0. Today they jump in front. And he walked him. Second walk given up by Capuano. Well, look at that. 1 earned run in all the first and second innings. In fact, his last 2 starts, Capuano had not allowed a run in either one.
Well, this time the pitching coach, Mike Maddox, comes out. Looks like the Brewers bullpen, there's some players stirring out there. They haven't had to go out to talk to Capuano much this year. Everything's been going his way.
Well, Carlos Villanueva, who we saw on Friday night, gets up very early in the Milwaukee bullpen. 2 starts back, Capuano had to leave his start after 3 innings because he had hit on the back of the right leg. But he came back 5 days later, made his regular start, and pitched brilliantly on Monday against Washington, 8 shutout innings. But today he is getting roughed up early. And a chance for David Wright to add to it. 2 on and 2 out. Wright singled, stole a base, and scored a run in the first. And he takes the changeup, ball 1.
And the problem is his changeup. He's not been able to get that over. He has to get that over. He's the kind of pitcher that'll throw a lot of changeups early and pitch behind with his fastball.
Pulled down to third, and Graffinino handles it. Goes the short way to end the inning. But the Mets tack on a run. Damion Easley with his 3rd RBI as Carlos Gomez scores the run after picking up a double in his first big league at bat. It's a heck of a way to start your career, and a fast start to this game for the Mets. Oliver Perez goes to the mound for the 3rd. He's retired the last 6 in a row after a leadoff walk. 5 of the 6 outs coming on fly balls. And Tony Graffinino takes ball 1. Graffinino 2 for 5 in this series. He's been splitting time at third base with Craig Counsell. And Perez falls behind 2-0. Tony Graffinino out of East Islip High School. One of the many moms in the crowd today on Mother's Day. 2-1. Oliver Perez, the pride of Culiacan. Two and 2 to Graffinino. Chris Capuano on deck. I think they've heard of East Islip in Culiacan.
No.
And the breaking ball in there for a call, 3rd strike. Second strikeout for Perez. 1 away.
Well, when Perez is going well, you'll see a lot of called 3rd strikes. Such a late break on that slider. Graffinino cannot even react to that pitch.
So one away. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Well, guys, over 40,000 women this year will die of breast cancer, and my mother-in-law was one of them. So it's a cause that's pretty near and dear to me, and it's a great cause. It's a great thing that the Major League Baseball players are doing once again, yielding pink bats, wearing pink wristbands, even the pink bases, just to gain awareness of the cause. And there's going to be more that's going to happen as well. Some of the bats that were used in today's game and others around the league will go on auction. Those monies being donated to charity. And if you wanted to help the cause, Major League Baseball has established a website. It's Coleman.org, Komen.org, where you can go on and donate a couple bucks, as well as Capuano drops one in. But guys, I think on Mother's Day, very appropriate what the players are doing again here this year.
It's wonderful. It's the third year, and it just gets bigger and bigger every year. And you just hope that they can find a cure.
Second baseman, Ricky Reese.
And the thing about breast cancer, it doesn't only affect women.
Yes.
There are thousands of men who are afflicted with breast cancer as well. Here's Ricky Weeks with 1 out and 1 on as the Brewers have their first hit. Chris Capuano, his third hit of the year. Weeks walked to lead off the game. Had a good 9-pitch at bat. This time fouls the first one away. And I want to wish my mom a very happy Mother's Day.
My mom, of course, too. I tried to call her this morning. She's out on the links with my dad, all right. My dad calls his Sunday golf, and my mom hit and giggle.
Who's doing the hitting and who's doing the giggling?
Dad's doing the hitting. My mom's doing the giggling. At his hitting.
1-1 to Weeks. J.J. Hardy waits on deck. And then Prince Fielder behind him. Those two have been the big guns in the Milwaukee batting order. See Franco playing behind Capuano, the pitcher. Yeah, we talk about how hard Capuano is to run on. Perez is just about as difficult. David Wright stealing a base today, the first attempt against Capuano in 20 starts. Well, Perez has not had an attempt against him in his last 11 starts. And in his career, he's given up only 14 stolen bases. Look at that, the infrequency of stolen base attempts. Capuano and Perez are 1-2 among active players. And Weeks goes down. Second strikeout of the inning for Perez, his third of the day.
Well, you're seeing early on that Perez has outstanding stuff. That's his changeup running away from Weeks. No, I'll take it back. That's a slider that sort of was a backup slider. Stayed on the outside part of the plate, fooling Weeks. One of the toughest pitches for hitters to face because they're expecting that break. It never comes.
So here's Hardy, who flied out to right his first time up. And he takes a slider for a strike, and Perez is getting a lot of strikes with that slider early in this game. I remember he was extremely sharp early in his outing in San Francisco, too, and then the one bad inning befell him. Not all his fault, but it never is. To center field, Beltran ranging over, calls off Gomez and makes the play to end the inning. And Gomez very smartly running behind Beltran to avoid a collision. 4-0 New York.
91 miles per hour and was brought to you by Verizon.
You know what? I think I got the best mother in the world. She's been very supportive ever since we're like little kids. I mean, to me and my other 3 brothers. So it's not like, you know, she's the big favorite. I think she's the best woman in the world. And we spend a lot of time together in the off-season. I go see her pretty much every day when I'm home. So I'm very grateful for everything that she's done for me. And I love her to death.
Wonderfully expressed by Carlos Delgado, who's getting the day off today, and his replacement Franco grounds out to start the bottom of the third.
Welcome to the club. I have 3 brothers also, Carlos, in a household with a husband and 4 sons. You have to be a patient woman.
Let's check in with Kevin.
You know, guys, more on Delgado on this story. He was gushing about his mom to me yesterday as well, and how much he loves her. And as he said there, he visits her almost every day in the offseason, and he says she keeps me humble. And I said, well, give me an example. He said, I'll give you a perfect one. I'll call for, I go over and say, hey, do you need anything? As Castro rips a shot, another base hit for him. And so she said, yeah, pick up some milk on the way over. So sure enough, Carlos stops, picks up some milk. She'll get to his house, and she'll give him $5 for the milk. He says, Mom, I think I'm good. I think I can afford the milk, but it's things like that that kind of keep him in his place, guys.
You know what? My mother does the same thing.
I bet you never returned a change, though, did you?
I can't even buy her dinner. It's hard to do.
Parents are exactly like that. They just they want to still be the parent. Just
1 out and 1 on. Here's Endy Chavez, who grounded to short his first time up. Of course, no one's more of a mom than my wife. 5 kids. It's constant momming. She is the greatest. Chavez takes outside. You know, pink is the new black.
It is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You know, in this town, people wore black for 20 years.
I continue to wear black, considering I'm colorblind. Black was the only, occasionally I'd go gray, but that's about as far as I can go as recognizing colors.
Well, you've got the very nice purple tie on today, which is not quite pink, but it's a good start.
It's not close, though. You got to be thinking. I wasn't thinking this morning.
Yeah, but would you have known a pink tie if you'd seen it?
I do own one, so I should have worn it today.
Well, I would have picked one out for you.
Okay. Well, that's the problem. I do need to have my ties picked out for me, so that's
Well, I need a keeper in other areas, so I completely understand. 3-1 to Chavez. And he hits one back to Capuano. Nice stab. Gets the out at second. Hardy's relay in time to double up Chavez. And that ends the inning. Very nicely done by Capuano and Hardy to turn the 1-6-3 against the speed of Chavez to end the inning. Still 4-0 New York.
Thursday, CW11 Weather Education Day at Shea with Mr. G and Linda Church. Get your school involved today. For more information, visit METS.com or call 718-507-TIXX.
Happy Mother's Day to you, too. Here's a look at the Dodge trivia question for today. Who are the 4 players whose fathers hit 300 or more home runs in the major leagues? Oh, look, Prince Fielder's batting. Okay, that's 1.
3 more out there.
Fielder flied to center his first time up. And the breaking ball from Perez for ball 1. Fielder's had a big series. Home run on Monday night, couple of doubles yesterday, or Friday night, I should say. 1-1 to Fielder. And it just turned 23. He is really establishing himself as a star. There's Tony Gwynn Jr. I don't think his dad hit 300 home runs.
What a nice game he had yesterday, didn't he?
Two and 1 to Prince, who was named partially for the artist, who was known, then not known, then known again as Prince, but also for a relative. So there was much royalty in his lineage.
Well, at least he got the letters of Prince instead of that symbol that Prince was for a while, right?
Whatever. Is that why you wore the tie today?
That's right.
3-2 now to Fielder. Bill Hall on deck, and then Johnny Estrada here in the 4th. Oliver Perez has been sharp early, trying to avoid the leadoff walk here to Fielder with a 4-0 lead. Broken bat fly ball, and Beltran is there. 1 away. So the fly ball parade continues for Oliver Perez as he broke Fielder's bat.
7 outs by way of fly ball. And Fielder's so strong. You break his bat in 2 and still it's a fly ball to center field. Any other player kind of drops in before the fielder, but that straight fly ball.
Should have used the pink bat.
That's right.
That's where the power is. Just ask Bill Hall. Struck out his first time up today. And Perez misses wide 1-0. If you missed it earlier today, the Mets called up Carlos Gomez, who's in the lineup and has already had an impact, and sent Mike Pelfrey down to New Orleans. Hall hits one well to left. Chavez retreating, and he makes the leaping grab. 2 out.
Well, I know you're like me, Gary. Just a thrill to watch these outfielders go get it. And Andy Chavez goes back on the ball in left field about as well as anyone I've ever seen here at Shea, because it jets out a little, so you really have to have some common knowledge when you're going for that ball. And that ball was a shot to left field. Only the speed of Chavez allowed him to make this catch.
You know what the problem is for Endy? He's already made the best catch of his life.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no way he can possibly equal it. I mean, that was a nice play, but here's Estrada, and he flies one to right, and in comes Gomez diving, and he made the catch.
Carlos Gomez enjoying his big league debut. Got his glove underneath this one. Fly balls to each field, and Perez has a 1-2-3 inning entertaining.
Gomez.
Carlos Gomez leading off. Carlos Gomez finishing off.
What a catch. Looking at that ball right into the glove. He misjudged it early off the bat of Estrada, but with that great speed, made up the time, and then Chavez in the left field. Great run and catch. And Mr. Perez, very happy.
Perez, Gomez, Chavez. Gomez takes a strike. Carlos Gomez doubled inside the third base bag in his first big league at bat and scored a run. Your first 4 innings in the big leagues can't go much better. And the changeup misses from Capuano, 1-1.
Well, he's already got his first hit. He probably just made all the highlight reels with that catch in right field.
Hits this one to center field, and Hall has it lined up. And Gomez finally has something go wrong. He makes his first out. 1 away. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. That looks good. Perez hit that dribbler to advance a runner his first time up after failing to get a bunt down, and this time tries to bunt for a hit. Capuano sliding play, and he got him. Wow. Capuano, after fumbling that ball around, able to recover and get Perez.
Well, we saw in the last inning, Capuano started a great double play, great quickness, and then with that throw and fielder with the pick, able to get Perez. I thought he had no chance.
Well, once he dribbled that ball.
I've seen this play before made by left-handers as they'll scoop it and lateral it to the third baseman who'll come in and make a play. And again, that's the only problem with the pitcher bunting is the speed down the line, even with a good bunt.
Very close play at first base. And now here's Reyes, who takes ball 1. I've never seen anybody make that sliding play better than Mike Hampton.
He's got to be one of the, well, he's a fantastic athlete, was Mike Hampton, but one of the best fielding pitchers the Mets have ever had on their mound.
Reyes lines one toward the middle, base hit. Well, Reyes has his first hit in this series. He had gone 0 for 8 before that. And now he's aboard with 2 out.
Oh, nice swing. This is why he is selling from that right side. That swing from the right side right now is shorter and more compact than his one from the left side.
Well, here's Easley, who's got a 2-run homer and an RBI single today. Now, Reyes at first with 2 out. Wright has stolen a base against Capuano today. Does Reyes try?
Good time to try it. 4-0. Push the envelope. Try to get in scoring position.
Of course, you got your big power hitter at the plate.
That's right.
And I want to take the bat out of his hands. Easley grounds one, foul. That's now 7 hits off Capuano.
Well, the great thing is things going on in the baseball field all the time. What will happen between Weeks, the second baseman on the right, and Hardy, the shortstop on the left, is they will talk to each other behind the glove, open mouth, I've got it, closed mouth, you've got it. That's a closed mouth. That means that Hardy's got it.
which is interesting because Easley has been pulling the ball.
Let's watch Weeks again. Maybe I missed that because I would assume that Weeks has the cover there because Hardy is in the hole. Weeks is playing up the middle. Much easier for him to get to the bag. A long run for Hardy to get there and catch it and try to apply a tag on Reyes. Hardy let Weeks know he's got it. Weeks has it. A lot of times, it doesn't always work on the. Sometimes it'll work on the count. Depends on what the pitcher is throwing. If Capuano is going to throw a changeup or a breaking ball down and into Easley, Weeks has the cover. If he's throwing fastball away, maybe Weeks wants to shade in that hole, and Hardy covers.
Reyes runs, changeup misses. Estrada's throw not in time, and the Mets have their second stolen base of the game against a pitcher who never gives up stolen bases. Number 21 for Reyes.
Oh, great jump by Reyes again. Going on that first movement. There's scouts not only for what a pitcher throws, there's also scouts on how he goes about his business as holding runners on, and maybe they have a little secret and how Capuano keeps runners held at first.
So another runner in scoring position for Easley, who already has 3 RBIs today. And he takes a strike 3 and 2. Just to go back to those numbers, before today, Chris Capuano in 482 career innings had given up 7 stolen bases. And the Mets have 2 today in the first 4 innings. Three and 2 to Easley. Struck him out with a changeup. So Capuano comes back to strike out Easley. First time he's gotten him today. His second strikeout. And the Mets still with a 4-0 lead. Perez has gotten 9 fly ball outs in the first 4 innings, and he's picked a perfect day to do it, with the Mets putting together a speed trio out there. And Kevin Mensch takes inside 1-0. Mensch fly to left his first time up. Carlos Villanueva up for the second time in the Brewers bullpen, with Capuano due up 4th in this inning. It has been a rough day for Capuano, the likes of which he really has not experienced this year. Not only giving up 4 runs and 7 hits, but a couple of stolen bases, which never happens. And Mensch hits the slider in the air. Reyes going out. Oh, he just barely hung onto that ball as it almost popped out of the glove.
Tough sky, a lot of sunshine, squeezes it.
The right
has the
fielder,
peace of mind to
Hart.
make sure that, presence of mind to make this catch with his bare hand.
That's why they give you that right hand. So check out the Mets' upcoming schedule, brought to you by Hummer, like nothing else. Mets will entertain the Cubs for 4 games starting tomorrow night. Reyes to his left, and he bobbles that one, and Hart is aboard. So after bobbling the pop-up and recovering, Reyes bobbles a ground ball and is charged with an error.
Well, this ball hit pretty sharply and it took a big bounce there at the end.
Tony Graffinino.
Surprising Reyes. See that ball come up a little bit, just catches him right on the left wrist, rolls up his arm between the legs. By that time, Hart, who has good speed, safe on the error.
Mets have made 15 errors. They had been tied for the fewest in the league coming into the day, and that's only the second for Reyes. That's playing their 36th game. So here's Graffinino with 1 out and 1 on, and he pops it up. Playable for David Wright. Wynn grabbing it, and Wright staying with it and catches it on the webbing, 2 away. Let's go back to the Hummer schedule. 4 with the Cubs starting tomorrow night with Tom Glavine on the mound trying for win number 295. Then the Yankees are in over the weekend. Then it's on to Atlanta and Florida on the road trip starting next Tuesday night. Now there's a classic jersey.
Yes. Well, Mike still has a lot of fans here, of course.
And our best to Mike, who's sitting out right now with an injury after getting off to a fast start in Oakland. Well, here's Tony Gwynn Jr., who had a big day for the Brewers yesterday. 3 hits and a walk and a great throw from right field. So Capuano's day is done as Carlos Villanueva gets set to come on in the bottom of the inning. Gwynn in limited at bat, sitting at 406. And he takes ball 1 from Perez. If you're wondering why a left-handed batter in this spot, well, Ned Yost only has 1 right-handed bat on his bench, and that's his backup catcher, Damion Miller. He threw every available right-hand hitter against Perez today. So far, that has not helped. The only hit that the Brewers have is by a guy who's no longer in the game, starting pitcher Capuano. And that was a bloop single.
Well, very interesting. If you watch at home, Tony Gwynn Jr. does exactly what his dad used to do against left-handers. He gets right on that plate. And what does that do? It tells the left-handed pitcher, I dare you to come inside. And that takes away, if he throws a ball outside or a slider that's even off the plate, a hitter like Gwynn is still able to handle that pitch.
Tony Jr. isn't quite as far up near the front of the box as his dad was. Right? I mean, Tony stood as close to the pitcher as any hitter I've ever seen.
He had a wide stance. That front foot would be on the front of the batter's box. He would get right on the plate and just dare you to come inside. He was so quick inside, you couldn't get in there.
Tony Sr. will be going in the Hall of Fame this summer, along with Cal Ripken. What a great pairing.
Wow.
2-2 to Gwynn. Well, he came inside, and it's 3-2. I still haven't gotten an answer to the question of whether Tony Gwynn Jr. gets the day off to go to Cooperstown the day his dad gets inducted. It's one of the things that I'd love to see changed. I'd love to see the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies occur on a day when nobody in baseball is playing, so that the whole baseball community can go. 3-2, and a tapper foul off his leg. You know, they hold it on a Sunday, which you understand because it's easier for the fans to get there, and you can understand that baseball doesn't want to take off on a Sunday, but still, there's got to be a way to figure out how to do it.
I had never been to the Hall of Fame until 3 years ago when I was invited by Dennis Eckersley, who was inducted. I had never been there, and I didn't realize what a great weekend it is. Everyone in their family should do it.
I mean, I've been to the Hall of Fame several times, but never for an induction ceremony.
Oh, it's
because we're always working.
Yeah.
3-2 with 2 down. And Gwynn fouls it back.
And I think some players would show up in droves too. Just
I think so.
You know,
sure.
For me, playing against Gwynn and Ripken, it's just it's going to be an amazing weekend. Then some are more amazing than others, but this year is going to be an amazing.
Well,
weekend.
I would think that any active player would want to see the induction ceremony just to get a taste. Right?
Well, the year I went was Eckersley and Molitor, so you had all the cheeseheads out there camping out. It was just a great atmosphere.
And Gwynn takes a call, 3rd strike. Oliver Perez with his 4th strikeout, and his excellent afternoon continues. Perez gets Gwynn looking. He's got a 4-0 lead. Time to answer our Dodge trivia question for today. Who are the 4 players whose fathers hit 300 or more home runs in the majors? Well, you got Dale Barrow with Yogi, Barry Bonds with Bobby, Prince Fielder with Cecil, and Eduardo Perez, Tony. There have never been a father and son both lead the league in home runs, but that could change if Prince Fielder wins a home run title.
Villanueva in the game. He pitched in Friday night's ball game, gave up the home run that ended up being a big home run, solo shot to Damion Easley.
And Carlos Beltran takes a curveball from Carlos Villanueva. You know, Willie messed up today. If he'd had Delgado in the lineup, he could have had the first ever, I'm assuming, 3 Carlos starting lineup.
That's right.
Beltran, Gomez, but Delgado has the day off. Maybe tomorrow. Beltran's flied out and walked. And a good changeup from Villanueva, 1-2. The Brewers bullpen has been excellent this season. And as I mentioned earlier, the Mets have not seen the best of that bullpen in this series. The closer Cordero and the setup man Turnbull. Just inside 2-2. Beltran pops it up. In from the mound, Villanueva, but Estrada gets out there. He didn't find it initially, Estrada, and Villanueva was getting ready to bail him out before Estrada found it. Well, there are the overall numbers for the Brewers bullpen, but I don't think that really demonstrates just how dominant they've been late in games. A lot of times middle relief numbers can skew that.
Oh, they're 21-0 now after 7 innings. So that's the number you want, the wins. Can they keep you ahead when you get ahead?
Here's David Wright. Singled, stole a base, scored a run in the first. Hit into a forced play in the second. So Capuano threw just 64 pitches before exiting. 4 innings, 4 runs, 7 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and a home run. The other way down the right field corner. Hart with a long run, and he can't get there. It bounces out of play. A ground rule double for David Wright. So David Wright's renaissance continues.
Well, good speed does not always make you a good outfielder. His Hart, you can see he's running with that glove extended, but he didn't do a great job of taking the best angle to that ball. Tough play, of course. Double for Wright.
That's not an easy corner to play because you run out of room in a hurry, and then you've got that short fence over there. And a lot of guys who have not played out there a lot shy away from it.
Shy away. The best way to go after a ball in the corner there is to go for the slide.
So Wright at second with 1 out, and here's Franco, who's struck out and grounded out 0 for 2.
Wright is running. The curveball high. Estrada's throw not in time, and David Wright has his 2nd stolen base of the game. His 6th of the year.
Well, great time to do it. That big windup by Villanueva. The curveball, of course, on that first pitch to Franco. And great jump by Wright. Estrada had no chance.
Mets have not been doing a lot of stealing of third this year. But Wright picks it up, and now that forces the Brewers to bring the infield in, already down 4-0. And Franco takes a strike, 1-1.
I like that aggressive play by the Mets. Good play by Wright. Getting in scoring position at third base with less than 2 outs.
You have to think, too, that when David is hitting, it allows him to be more aggressive. Pressure on base more, but as Franco fouls away. But you know what I mean? It just increases his feeling of well-being and that ability to take those gambles.
And to help the team. And I think that, you know, this is how you play the rubber game of a series. You know, you push the envelope, put the pressure on the team.
Well, the Mets certainly didn't play their best game yesterday, but they have come out firing on all cylinders today. Villanueva needing a strikeout. Ahead 1-2. And he gets Franco. So there's a big comeback by Villanueva for the 2nd out.
Well, this is a hanging breaking ball right here. Good pitch for Franco to hit. Just swings right through it. A little late.
So 2 out, left to Castro, who's already 2 for 2 today. Single to left center to drive in a run in the first, single to left in the third. And he takes a curveball for a strike. So the infield dropping back with 2 out. Right at third. And another off-speed pitch. And Villanueva ahead 0-2. Andy Chavez sitting 7th in the order, waiting on deck. 23-year-old Carlos Villanueva working in relief for the Brewers. And he strikes him out with a fastball. Well, Villanueva, after the double by Wright, comes back with back-to-back strikeouts of Franco and Castro to leave Wright stranded. On to the 6th, 4-0 New York. Here's the line score brought to you by New York Life, the company you keep. Mets jumping on the Brewers early, 3 in the first, 1 in the second. Oliver Perez keeping the ball in the air has allowed just 1 hit through 5. This year, when you can't be home to watch your Mets on SNY or CW11, check out MLB.tv. You can log on to the internet to watch every out-of-market Mets game of the season live, catch those you missed on demand, or listen to every radio broadcast live. Sign up today for MLB.tv, an unparalleled live baseball experience. For more details, visit METS.com, where baseball is always on. Ricky Weeks takes ball 1 from Oliver Perez. Weeks has walked and struck out today. Perez has not had a ground ball out in this game. There's been 1 ground ball, and Reyes booted it. What's the lesson there?
Jose is saying, that'll teach you. Get that ball in the air.
And because there have been no groundouts, there have been no assists in this game. And that's it's a baseball rarity. It happens every once in a while. I think there was a game here at Shea with Sid Fernandez pitching a number of years back where there were no assists. But there's about to be one here as Reyes guns down Weeks by a stride for the first out. So there's the first ground out and the first assist for the Mets defense in the game.
Well, this ball kind of handcuffs a little Jose Reyes. With Weeks running, he knew he had to use that big arm, and good hustle by Weeks. Just barely not beating that ball out.
Nice to have a strong arm.
Yeah.
So 1 away. Here's J.J. Hardy, who's flied out twice, and he takes ball 1. And you wonder with a guy like Hardy, who all of a sudden is hitting home runs for the first time in his career, can a guy like that start to get fly ball happy?
Well, home run happy, right?
I mean, we're talking about a guy who never hit more than 12 home runs in a minor league season, and he's got 11 already this year. Things get a little heady. 2-1 to Hardy. They always loved his glove.
Yes.
But after he missed most of last year with an ankle injury, as you look at Prince Fielder on deck, they committed to keeping his spot. Even after Bill Hall hit the 35 home runs, they moved Hall to make room for Hardy. Chopped out to right. Back-to-back ground ball outs for Oliver Perez, and there are 2 away. So 2 out and nobody on. Well, the Brewers with an 8-game lead over the otherwise under 500 National League Central. And, you know, the world champion came out of the Central last year, but the Cardinals only won 83 games, and that division is playing pretty much the same way this year.
Well, the Reds have been a disappointment. They thought they'd have a better year. The Cardinals, of course, have just had about everything go wrong that you can see go wrong. Houston's starting to play a little better. Chicago is playing a little better, but they expected much better things.
Yeah, they had been playing better until they ran into the Phillies this weekend. Fielder takes a fastball high.
And the Pirates are seemingly forever rebuilding.
Yeah, well, they've got good young pitching, but they're not ready yet. See, the Pirates have a lead with Ian Snell on the mound over the Braves today. The funny thing about the Cardinals is that the best thing that's happened to them this year is Braden Looper.
Yes.
Who won again last night. Fielder pops it up. Reyes retreating, Beltran in, and it's Beltran's ball as the wind carries it, and he stays right with it. Yet another fly ball out for Oliver Perez. That's a dozen of them, and he's got a 1-hitter through 6. Andy Chavez leads off the home 6th inning against Carlos Villanueva. Mets with a 4-0 lead. Chavez is grounded out and hit a comebacker into a double play. Getting the start in left field today with Moises Alou having strained his quad yesterday. Moises had an MRI done after the game yesterday. And they're saying it's a day-to-day proposition, but you know, we talked about it in the opening, Ronnie. You just don't know how many days that's going to be.
Well, 40-year outfielder, sometimes you have to give them a couple extra days to get healthy. And Alou, with his knee, had a couple of more days than he thought it would take. So
with the combination of Chavez and now Carlos Gomez, the Mets have got some options to fill that spot until Alou is ready. Gomez has certainly made a splash in his first day in the major leagues.
Pulled over the bag and a fair ball base hit for Chavez. On his way to second, his Hart plays it at the sidewall, and Endy's got himself a leadoff double. Fourth double of the year for Chavez.
Well, a little breaking ball down and in. That ball was supposed to be away. Down and into Endy Chavez. Able to pull that ball down the line. Fielder was playing off the line. That was a good play by Hart, getting that ball in quickly. That looked like a triple off the bat of Chavez.
So another chance for Carlos Gomez, who doubled in his first big league at bat in the second, then flied out in the fourth. And Villanueva starts him off with a fastball for a strike.
You know, Gary, you mentioned that Gomez is such a raw talent. Willie Randolph had a lot to say today about raw talent and being ready and not ready. And the speed of the game was the thing I took away from it, about that players that don't have a lot of experience or have not had the best teaching when they are young players, the speed of the game really gets them when they come up to the big leagues.
And I think a lot of that conversation began with Mike Pelfrey and the problems that he's had. But Gomez has adapted quickly his first day. Doubled in that first at bat, made a great play in right field. Just 21 years of age, and the scouts rave about his tools, and we've seen some of them today. 0-2 to Gomez. Unusual the way he keeps that bat on the shoulder. Doesn't look like he should be able to get it into the hitting zone on time from where that bat starts.
You know, Reyes does that from the left side, holds it on his shoulder, but will lift it right before the pitch comes.
And Gomez, fooled badly, is struck out, and that's the third strikeout for Villanueva.
Well, good breaking balls we've seen from Villanueva. He's able to get a couple punch outs with right on third in the last inning. Late breaker. See Gomez shortens up as he's just trying to make contact, but is not able to do it.
So one away, and here's Perez, who's having himself a brilliant afternoon. Allowed just one hit through 6, and that was a bloop single by the pitcher. By the way, speaking of pitchers off to fast starts, remember the other day Sean Hill for the Nationals threw 5 hitless innings and then had to come out of the game with a no-hitter going because his elbow flared up? In Toronto this afternoon, Sean Markham, another Sean, started against Tampa Bay. No-hitter through 6 as Perez grounds it foul. Anyway, Markham throws 6 no-hit innings. They take him out of the game, 78 pitches. Now, I don't know if he was hurt, but they brought in a relief pitcher, Jason Frazier, gave up a home run to Carlos Pena and the no-hitter. And the tie is gone. Tampa Bay leading 1-0. By the way, Jay So is pitching that game for the Devil Rays. 2 hits through 6.
And he's been struggling all year.
The ERA's over 9.
Wow.
So, need to get the further story on why Markham came out. 0-2 to Perez, up and in. Not as close as the reaction would indicate.
Well, Perez leaning out over that plate. That ball's just high. I wouldn't even call it up and in. That was up and middle.
Up, and I'm tilting backwards. And Perez goes down, and Villanueva has his 4th strikeout. So after the leadoff double, Villanueva strikes out the next 2.
Again, that little late slurve from Villanueva. Villanueva is one of those young pitchers that's been a starter in the minor leagues and one of those guys that could step in if they ever did have an injury in their starting rotation.
So here's Reyes, who's been aboard twice today. Getting late. Up late last night.
That's what you need Mom for right there.
He was up late playing PlayStation. Maybe Guitar Hero. Have your kids found Guitar Hero yet?
Yes.
Yeah. All day. Every day. Chavez at second and 2 down. Reyes a walk, a single, a stolen base, a run scored today. Typical Reyes kind of a day. And a line drive to right, and Hart is in to make the play to end the inning. Reyes hit that ball hard, but Hart was equal to it. On to the 7th at Shea. Still 4-0 New York. Mother's Day has marked the dawn of a new career for Carlos Gomez and a big day for Oliver Perez. Damion Easley chipping in with an early home run, and Gomez able to show his stuff. A 2-base hit in his first at bat, a diving catch in right field. All is well for Carlos Gomez on his first day in the big leagues, and the Mets have a 4-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Bill Hall leads off and swings over the slider from Oliver Perez. Hall is struck out and fly to left. A nice catch by Andy Chavez in the 4th. Perez has allowed just 1 hit over the first 6 innings. As we check out our Jeep game summary, Capuano with the only hit for Milwaukee, but not a good day for him on the mound. Not only gave up 4 runs and 7 hits, but a couple of stolen bases, which never happens against Capuano. And the slider on the outside corner for a strike, 1 and 2.
Capuano just not able to get his changeup over early in the game. It looked like he was starting to come around, but in the National League, you're not allowed that, as he was pinch hit for by Tony Gwynn Jr.
Perez has struck out 4 today. Just outside, 2 and 2. Oliver making his 7th start of the year. His pitch count very low. Just 75 pitches, working in the 7th. And Hall punches 1 foul.
This is just a different Oliver Perez. You see Johnny Estrada on deck. Ron Castro's calling fastball away. He's throwing it away. Fastball in, hits the corner. Slider away, back door. Just really hitting his spots.
And Hall goes down on the slider in the dirt. 5 strikeouts for Oliver Perez. It started with Perez has retired 6 in a row since Reyes' error in the 5th. And 13 straight batters since Capuano's base hit in the 3rd. Interrupted only by that error. Estrada has flied to right twice. The second time was that diving catch by Gomez that took a base hit away from him.
My wife's sister was in Canada's version of America's Next Top Model. Her only response after she was let go after 4 or 5 shows, those girls are mean.
Well, there's a shocker. To left center and hit well. Beltran converging with Chavez, and Beltran runs it down. You can hit it anywhere in the air to that outfield, and those 3 are going to find it today.
Listen, there's a huge gap here. So the hitters for the Brewers think they have a lot of place to place this ball for hits, but not today with the speed of this. I don't know if it's an outfield or a track team, as they just get to every single ball. Can you imagine with Reyes at shortstop, the kind of 4x100 relay team it would be with Gomez, Chavez, Beltran, and Reyes?
It's like playing against the Cardinals in the 80s.
Right.
Here's Kevin Mensch. Takes ball 1. You had Coleman, McGee. You have to have another fast guy out there, right?
Who else was there then? No, they all could run, though.
Yeah. And on that AstroTurf, Mensch chops 1 to right, takes the long hop. Wide throw, and it eludes Franco, who wouldn't come off the bag. And safe at first is Mensch. Well, they'll charge an error on right, as Franco tried to hold the bag and reach for it.
Well, he tries that footwork where he brings his right foot across the bag and tries to make that play, but the only other way he might be able to is to come off the bag and try the sweep tag. He might have been able to, but still, that throw from David Wright's got to be on target.
6th error of the year for Wright, and the Mets' 2nd error of the day. They had made just 14 errors in their first 35 games coming into today. So here's Corey Hart, who's 0 for 2. And it goes to the backstop. And down to second base goes Mensch.
Well, this will be interesting to see how Oliver Perez, the first pitch after an error. This one eludes Castro. Down in the dirt. Castro could not get those knees down to block it.
5-hole.
5-hole. We've seen Oliver Perez, when things don't work perfectly behind him, sometimes he's not able to pick his teammates up. It's a good time to do it as Matt Wise warming up in the bullpen for the Brewers.
2-0 to Hart. Well, Perez twice this year has gone 7 innings. He did in his first start in Atlanta and then later in Washington. And trying to finish the 7th inning today. He's given up only the 1 hit and walked only 1. Popped it up. Reyes retreating. Chavez coming in, but Reyes will stay with it and makes the stumbling grab. And Perez able to work around the error in the 7th. So things continue to go in the pink for the Mets on Mother's Day. 4-0 New York. Fans have been up and stretching here at Shea. Little to complain about on the Mets side today with a 4-0 lead with Oliver Perez brilliant so far. And the Mets showing off their young talent, Carlos Gomez. Damion Easley has had a big hand in the Mets' success as well. 3 of the 4 RBIs with a home run and a run-scoring single.
Mets have had a chance, though, to build on this lead. They've had a couple of chances. Runner on third base, less than 2 outs, not able to get that run in. You hate to see those chances wasted.
David Wright doubled in the 5th, was stranded at 3rd. Chavez led off the 6th with a double, and he was stranded. And Easley takes a strike from Carlos Villanueva, who's looked very strong in relief, starting his 3rd inning now in back of Chris Capuano. Easley pops it up. Raffinino shading his eyes and stays with it. It's a tough day to catch a pop-up today with all that sun and wind. 1 away for Carlos Beltran. Well, the Cubs come to town tomorrow night to open a 4-game series. Now, the Cubs have run into a roadblock in Philadelphia, but they're getting a very well-pitched game out of Ted Lilly today and lead the Phils 2-0 in the 6th. In fact, Lilly's allowed only 1 hit in that game thus far. So the Mets will miss Lilly in that 4-game series, but see everybody else that the Cubs can run out there, including Jason Marquis, native New Yorker, who's off to a great start and comes back to Shea to pitch tomorrow night.
5-1, I believe, so far is Jason Marquis, who wasn't even able to make the St. Louis playoff roster last season.
Will face Tom Glavine, his former Atlanta teammate. I was talking with Tommy a little bit about Marquis the other day, and you know, Marquis butted heads with Leo Mazzoni when he was in Atlanta, and same with Dave Duncan when he was in St. Louis, but for some reason things appear to have kicked in for him in Chicago.
Nice contract he got after the season he had the season before. Ted Lilly, of course, one of the big free agent signings for the Chicago Cubs this winter.
3-0 to Beltran, and he takes a strike. Well, the Cubs spent a lot of money, and for folks who wanted instant success, it didn't come the first few weeks of the season. Well, the Cubs are a couple of games under 500, and you know, we were talking before about that NL Central and the Brewers. There's no reason to think that Milwaukee will not be there all year. As Beltran pops it up, and Graffinino's got another chance, and there are 2 out. I mean, that doesn't mean they're going to win it, but they certainly got the talent and play the way you'd like to see them play that you figure they're going to be around all year.
Yeah, they're going to be around all year, and I think with Chicago, Lou's already had a couple of sessions with that team where he screamed and yelled, and I think that, you know they're going to play hard. I think Lou Piniella is the perfect kind of manager and personality for Chicago and the Cubs.
To overcome the normally laid-back climbs of Wrigley Field.
That's right.
And there's the Cubs with that lead today in Philadelphia. So 2 out. Here's David Wright, and he takes a curveball for a strike. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt.
Guys, David Wright comes from a very supportive family. His mother was always one when he was younger, even if he'd taken 0 for 4. She'd say, well, at least she made contact. But as Wright got older, she got more into the game. He told me during his high school playing days, his dad would be the quiet one sitting in back of the stands. His mom and his grandmother would be first row riding the ump. And David said they didn't even know what they were riding him for. They were just riding him all game long. But she's always been very involved.
1-1 to Wright. I know that parent.
I know that parent also. My mother got thrown out of a game when I was an American Legion ball for riding the umpire. That's pretty sad.
Not supposed to tell stories on your mom on Mother's Day.
Well, that's all right. She'd get a laugh out of it. See, Johnny Estrada on Friday night, he had those nails painted white. The night game, sometimes it's hard to see, so they'll paint their cuticles white, easier to see the signs. But of course, the day game, you don't have to do that. Remember one game I was pitching, I was having trouble seeing Gary Carter's sign. I asked him if he'd put tape around his fingers so I could see the signs a little better. Of course, he said no.
Really?
Yeah. He said it's going to interfere with my hitting. And I'm not taping my fingers. Just look a little harder. Here, fastball away with the little pinky.
3-1 to Wright, and he swings and misses at the fastball. 3-2.
See Johnny Estrada, you can see right at his fingers there, they're painted just white enough to make it easier for his pitchers to see the signs. Today, no pink.
And Wright draws a 2-out walk, so David's on base for the 3rd time today. First walk given up by Villanueva.
Watching David Wright hit, when you can really tell when he's seeing the ball. Just the way he follows it, how relaxed he is at the plate.
Franco's had a tough day at the plate, 0 for 3, couple of punch outs. Now the first 2 times Wright's gotten aboard today, he's stolen a base. He stole second base in the 1st, and he stole third base in the 5th. So we'll see whether he's still feeling frisky here in the 7th with the Mets leading 4-0. And Franco takes the breaking ball for a strike. Julio starting a game for only the 3rd time this year, with Delgado getting the day off.
See those eyes peering into Estrada. See if he can catch the sign. That's what he's trying to do. If he can catch a sign, if he sees breaking ball called, that's a better pitch to run on.
How does a runner at first base steal a sign?
If you can get out far enough and you can peek in and that catcher opens up that front leg and doesn't hide his signs, you can see them.
One and one to Franco.
I knew a base runner that said he could see a catcher on a day game would give a changeup sign, which the wiggling of the fingers, he could see the forearm rippling. That would know that it's a changeup. See slide step. He's telling the pitcher slide step. Fastball inside.
Wright is running. Franco loses the bat. Estrada loses the ball into center field. And Wright heads to third. His 3rd stolen base of the game. And he gets third base to boot on the throwing error.
Well, another good pitch to throw. Perfect for Estrada. That bat flying might have gotten Estrada's way, maybe. But just great jumps by Wright, who is playing some frisky baseball here on Sunday, Mother's Day.
So the error by Estrada moves into third. The 3 stolen bases, the most Wright has ever had in a game. And the Mets have a total of 4 stolen bases in the game on a day they weren't supposed to be able to steal any. Here's Franco taking high, and it's 2-2. Yeah, Chris Capuano going to the mound, against whom nobody had even attempted a stolen base in his last 19 starts. Mets stole 2 against him, and now 2 more against Villanueva. Mets have left a lot of runners in scoring position, and they leave another as Franco goes down for the 3rd time. 5 strikeouts in relief in 3 innings for Villanueva. So the Mets waste another opportunity, but so far Perez hasn't needed a whole lot of help. Brilliant afternoon. Perez working into the 8th inning for the first time this year. Has allowed just 1 hit and walked only 1 over the first 7. Graffinino has struck out and popped up, and he pops this one up foul and out of play. It's 0-2. Let's check out today's pitcher's high speed, brought to you by Verizon, working for you. Perez is topped out at 94 miles an hour, and the impressive reliever for the Brewers, Carlos Villanueva, at 91. Elmer descends up in the bullpen for Milwaukee as Craig Counsell has come out on deck to bat for the pitcher. And Graffinino fouls it away.
Well, this is the kind of effort you want on the rubber game of this 3-game series. Perez just dominating so far, ahead of every hitter. Slider's been sharp.
There's Counsell on deck. And Graffinino just gets a piece. Tony Graffinino, who started out his career with the Braves. Let's see, he played with the White Sox and the Red Sox and the Royals. 34 years old now. As you see, the Brewers have managed little against Perez. Only once in this game that they had a runner in scoring position, and that's in the 7th when Mensch reached on an error and took second on a wild pitch. Mets have made 2 errors behind Perez, but they've had only 2 other base runners, the Brewers. In the air to right for Gomez. 1 away. So 1 out and nobody on. This week's CW11 poll question is brought to you by NYPD Recruitment. Apply now for the next exam at nypdrecruit.com or call 212-RECRUIT. Will the 2007 Mets have at least 3 players with 100 or more RBIs? 66% said yes, 34% said no. Log on to CW11.com to vote on next week's CW11 web poll question. Craig Counsell pinch hitting for Carlos Villanueva. And Counsell takes a strike. Counsell started at third base yesterday and had the hustle play of the game for the Brewers. They really turned the game on that short pop-up to go tie that Counsell tagged and scored on, and the Brewers got 2 runs on the play when the Mets threw the ball around. But that's the kind of player Counsell is. One of the few veterans on this young Milwaukee team among the everyday players.
He's one of those guys, when you watch plays, think to yourself, someday he could be a manager. That's how heads up he is.
Notre Dame product. Perez with a 1-2, just missed. And it's 2-2. Perez has struck out 5 and walked only 1. He's thrown 95 pitches, working in the 8th inning. So there's the chance that he might be able to go the distance in this game. Oliver's had just 3 complete games in his career. Inside to Counsell, and it's 3-2. Perez's last complete game was last season. He had a shutout for the Mets. And Counsell takes ball 4. And there's the second walk given up by Perez, who walked the first man to face him today, and nobody else till here in the 8th. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9. Check out the CW11's Morning News for your first look at the day's top stories. A reliable weather forecast to plan your day, plus time-saving traffic reports with CommuterCast. Weekdays from 5 to 9 only on the CW11 Morning News. Time for Rick Peterson to take Oliver Perez's temperature here in the 8th inning.
Well, Perez angry at himself, bouncing that ball off the rubber, and he should be. 0-2 on Counsell. Let Counsell get away.
We mentioned he has thrown a shutout. That was last year against the Braves here at Shea in the second game of a doubleheader. And Aaron Heilman will start to get loose. Mentioned Craig Counsell, Notre Dame product. Mets member of the Fighting Irish getting ready.
You know, I think Rick Peterson has done a nice job of getting Perez mechanics back in line, but even more importantly, he's got him, he thinks of excellence when he goes out there, and this is a chance right here. You don't get many chances to close out a team, have a chance for a complete game shutout.
Ricky Weeks 0 for 2 and a walk, and he takes ball 1. Well, Perez was a little off in the early part of the game. He threw 2 or 3 pitches where it just looked like his mechanics weren't sharp at all, but he's been able to kick himself into gear, which wasn't always the case. And now he's behind on Weeks 2-0, and you wonder whether the gas tank's getting low now. 99 pitches in. And there's a strike. Popped it up. And Reyes looking through the sunglasses. 2 away. So Perez gets the second out. Counsell still at first. And here's J.J. Hardy, who has been cooled off so far today. 0 for 3, a couple of fly balls and a ground out to third. After hitting 2 homers and driving in 7 runs in the first 2 games of the series. The Brewers have only 1 hit, and that one was a 1-out single by the pitcher Chris Capuano. A little flare that fell into shallow left in the 3rd inning.
It's a huge out here, though, Gary. You don't want that big first baseman Prince Fielder to come up with a couple on.
There's a strike. 1-1. Well, Oliver Perez showed his mettle last year. Right on this Shea Stadium mound in Game 7 against the Cardinals. Showed that he can pitch tough in tough spots. A little extra on that fastball to Hardy, and it's 1-2. And when you're down to your last few, do you try and just give it a little extra?
Oh, yeah. I think you always try to reach back for something. He can smell it now. If you get this out, his manager might give him a chance to go out there for the 9th. But you got to get this out.
In there for a call, strike 3. 8 shutout innings for Oliver Perez. Only 1 hit.
Be sure to take mass transit to Shea tomorrow night when the Mets kick off a 4-game series with Lou Piniella, Alfonso Soriano, and the Chicago Cubs. Go to Mets.com now for your print at home tickets. Ted Lilly allowed just 1 hit through 7 in that game in Philadelphia, and the Cubs up 2-0. Here's Ramon Castro taking ball 1 from the new Brewers pitcher Elmer Descends.
Did not allow a run in yesterday's game. Has not allowed one in his last 4 appearances.
Gave up a couple of hits in the 9th inning yesterday, then got bailed out by J.J. Hardy's great play to end the game. 2-0 to Castro. He's got a couple of hits today, drove in a 1st inning run. When you don't play much, you can raise your batting average in a hurry. He was .235 coming in. He's gained 35 points today. Oliver Perez having a magnificent afternoon, and Castro lifts one to left. Mensch circles it and makes the catch. Well, he didn't take the best route to the ball, but he somehow was able to get there and make the play.
You called it, Gary. 3 circles and a dive.
Whatever works. That was out of the Greg Luzinski school of left field. So 1 away. Here's Andy Chavez. 1 for 3. Double down the right field line his last time up. Well, Oliver Perez has thrown 103 pitches today, working on a 1-hit shutout. And it would appear as though he's going to get a chance to start the ninth, although Billy Wagner is starting to loosen up in the Mets bullpen.
I think Willie's going to get him to start the ninth. He's going to get one shot at it. If he gets a base runner, then Wagner will be in the game.
Of course, he has the heart of the batting order coming up against him. Fielder, Hall, and Estrada, so it won't be easy. Carlos Gomez having himself a fine first day in the big leagues, waiting on deck. There's a strike, 3-1. We were talking earlier about Mike Pelfrey getting sent down to the minors today to make room for Gomez. And the Mets are going to have to make a decision on how to fill that spot in their rotation. As Graffinino handles the ground ball and throws out Chavez 2 away. Tomorrow night at 8 here on the CW11, check out the hilarious season finale of Chris Rock's hit comedy, Everybody Hates Chris. It's the last day of school you'll never forget. The season finale of Everybody Hates Chris tomorrow night at 8 here on the CW11. Here's Carlos Gomez, 1 for 3 in his big league debut. A little aggressive on that swing. So, you know, you can't bring Pelfrey back in time for the next start. So, what are your possibilities?
Well, El Duque is not going to be ready, so you can just write him off. He's not going to be ready to pitch. You've got Jason Vargas in AAA. The Chan-Ho experiment #1 didn't work out very well, and he got hammered in the last start in New Orleans.
And Gomez has his second big league hit as he goes the other way. So a single and a double for Carlos Gomez in his first big league game.
Well, for a big man, the 21-year-old has a nice short stroke. Good job of hitting that fastball away from the Sens the other way. Boy, that's a nice sign to see from a young player that he's able to hit the ball down the left field line for a double at 1 at-bat and to right field for a hit and another at-bat.
And a huge hand for Oliver Perez. And he fouls it away.
Listen, if you're a baseball fan, you don't get this very often where a pitcher is hitting for himself in the bottom of the 8th inning.
As a starting pitcher, anytime you've had 4 at-bats, you've had a good game.
Unless it's 4 punch-outs.
Still.
It's good, but
if you're in the game long enough to have 4 at-bats.
That's right.
And he's had a great day. Gomez runs and he'll steal second without a throw, and he has his first big league stolen base.
Well, the scouting report must be a little late for the Brewers on Carlos Gomez, because 17 stolen bases in New Orleans. Got to pay a little more attention to him at first base. Elmer the Sens did not.
Gomez was leading the Pacific Coast League in steals when he was called up. And Perez lines one down the line. That's a fair ball, base hit, and Gomez will score. Oliver Perez has his 6th hit of the year and his first run batted in. 5-0 New York.
Well, it's not the prettiest swing, but he does stay inside the ball. And that ball's away, and he kind of just chops it down the left field line, keeps it fair, just landing inside the foul line. And just worth it to watch him, Carlos Gomez, score.
And Reyes hits one toward the gap in right center field. Now the question is, will he lap Perez? Perez on his way to third. He's being waved home. Reyes heading for third. Weeks with the relay. Not in time. 7th triple of the year for Reyes, and it's 6-0 New York.
A little hanging curveball here. We've seen that's one of the pitches that is a power pitch for Jose Reyes. Dumps that right in the gap, and Oliver Perez getting his running in.
Now the question is, did he gas himself for the 9th inning?
Just get the oxygen tank going.
He went straight down the tunnel.
And Carlos Gomez running, Beltran running, Jose Reyes running.
Well, Reyes will tell you that Gomez is faster than he is, but I'd love to see a foot race. That would be something you'd pay to see.
Yes.
7 triples for Reyes in the first 36 games of the year. It's less than a quarter of a season. Here's Easley, who's driven in 3 runs today, and he takes ball 1. So a little of the pressure off Perez for that 9th inning now with the 6-0 lead. With that heart of the batting order coming up from Milwaukee. And he's not even breathing heavy. He's fine.
Well, all that work that you do in between starts, physical conditioning as a pitcher, long distance running, line to line, riding the bike, doing the treadmill, all that stuff pays off on a day like this for Oliver Perez.
It's only 90 yards from first to home.
Up the middle for Easley. Hardy runs it down, spinning throw, and he's safe, and a run comes home. 4th run batted in of the day for Easley, despite the best efforts of J.J. Hardy, and it's 7-0 New York.
Boy, just another fine play by Hardy just to even get to this ball. Deep in the outfield, could not get enough on the throw. Good call by veteran Jerry Crawford at first base. But Hardy so far in his young season seems like the real deal.
He is the goods, isn't he? Reyes scores his 2nd run of the day. He's now scored 33 on the year, and the Mets have broken it open here in the 8th. Here's Beltran, and he takes a strike from Descends. All of this after 2 out and nobody on. Gomez with the hit, stole 2nd. Perez drove him home. Reyes with the triple, and Easley with the infield hit, and the Mets have 3 home in the 8th. Beltran 0 for 3 and a walk today, and Billy's going to sit down. Oliver Perez now with plenty of breathing room to go out in the 9th and bid for only his 3rd career shutout and 4th career complete game.
Beltran launches one deep down the right field line, hooking toward the corner, and it's out of here! A 2-run homer for Carlos Beltran. Number 8 for Beltran, and it's 9-0 New York. Well, yesterday the Brewers broke open a close game late. The Mets have done the same today.
Yeah, after getting blown out by the Brewers yesterday, the Mets have brought their A game today. Wrapping around the foul pole, Carlos Beltran.
Mets started fast and they're finishing fast, and here's David Wright, and he takes a strike. So Beltran with his first hit of the day, home run number 8. He now has 29 runs batted in. And the Mets have pounded out 14 hits. David has 2 of them, a single and a double. He's also drawn a walk, and he's stolen 3 bases for the first time in his career. A dominant day for the Mets. And that one hit into the stands in a hurry. Unfortunately, hit an empty seat as everybody ducked. And Wright goes down swinging to end the inning, but a big 8th inning for the Mets puts this game on ice. 5 runs highlighted by Beltran's home run, and it's 9-0 as Perez takes them out with a 1-hitter going. 9th inning, Prince Fielder leads off against Oliver Perez. Fielder is flied to center field all 3 times up. And he hits another one to center field. Beltran shading his eyes, having trouble, and stays with it. Beltran battling the sun, and he was equal to the task. 1 down in the 9th.
Well, that's the way you do it. You have the sunglasses on, you shield the sun with your glove, And you hold that between the ball and your eyes, and it makes it easier, or it made it easier for him to catch.
Oliver Perez bidding to become the first Met to throw a complete game one-hitter in more than 2 years, since Aaron Heilman did it against the Marlins back in April of '05. Luis Castillo had the only hit in that game. Chris Capuano has the only hit for the Brewers in this game. Strike one to Bill Hall. Hall is 0 for 3, struck out twice, and Andy Chavez made a nice catch going back in the fourth. Best defensive play today was by Carlos Gomez in his first big league game, but Hall hits one in the air to left, deep. Chavez back near the wall, and it's out of here. And so the shutout is broken. The one-hit bid is broken. It's 9-1 New York. 5th home run of the year for Bill Hall, who had 35 of them last year, and that is just the 2nd Milwaukee hit of the game.
And you're right, Gary. Hall has been the only one to really center the ball off Oliver Perez. That fine catch by Chavez, but not be able to catch this one. Long gone.
And with the one-hitter and the shutout gone, Perez will not get a chance to finish the game as Willie Randolph comes out to the mound. A great effort for Oliver Perez. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Metro Cable. Get cable's triple play. Call 1-800-OK-CABLE. Aaron Heilman on to try and finish up for New York. Oliver Perez became the first Mets starter to throw a pitch in the 9th inning this year, but couldn't quite close it. 1-1 to Johnny Estrada. Well, you certainly don't see as many complete games as you used to. Perez had a chance today.
Well, it's not as much the complete games. It's just that, you know, if there's a starting pitcher pitches over 225 innings, that's huge now.
Well, we had that stat from Elias the other day. As you look at Perez getting the congratulations from Willie Randolph, only 30% of all starts last 7 innings now. So it's a lot to expect 9 when you're hardly ever getting 7. 2-2 to Estrada.
Well, Heilman had that good road trip, 2-0 on the road trip to the West Coast. Good ERA, but struggled Friday night here, giving up that 2-run home run to J.J. Hardy.
Estrada flies one into shallow left center. Reyes out, but it's going to fall. And Estrada has the 3rd Milwaukee hit of the game. A little pop fly that fell in the Bermuda Triangle. It's the first thing in the year today that hasn't been caught.
The left fielder, Kevin Minch.
Well, I think a lot of times off the bat of Estrada, we've seen this twice now. He has that big full swing, but he's caught it twice off the end of the bat, fooling the outfielders, not getting a great jump, and that ball falls into the Bermuda Triangle, like you said, Gary.
Here's Kevin Minch, who's gone 0 for 3, reached on Wright's throwing error his last time up. 9-1 New York. As Minch pops it up, and Easley out, and Beltran in, and Easley the only man who can catch it, and does. And there are 2 out. Big day for Damion Easley, who's driven in 4 runs and makes a nice play here.
Yeah, doing it all. Great jump by Easley on this pop-up from Minch.
The right fielder.
See how far he had to go to get to that ball. Put his head down, picked out a spot to run to. Perfect timing by Easley.
So the Brewers are down to their final out. Corey Hart, the batter. He's gone 0 for 3. And the Mets on the verge of winning 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee. And, you know, it's only May, and the Brewers certainly have shown they can play. But the Mets looking to turn aside an upstart team the first time they faced them this year.
It's all about winning series in baseball, and you don't ever want a team that's hot, playing well, to come into your house and win the series. And the Mets getting off on a good start on this homestand.
Brewers will move on to Philadelphia tomorrow. Big bouncer for Easley. And the ball game is over. So Howman comes on to get the final 2 outs to finish it off for Oliver Perez, who pitched a brilliant game this afternoon. The Mets jumped on the Brewers early and often. Damion Easley with 4 RBIs. Carlos Gomez, an outstanding big league debut, but that guy's the hero, Oliver Perez. 2 hits over 8 1/3 innings to pick up his 4th win of the year.
Well, the rubber game of the series, you just want to have your starting pitcher give you a great effort. Perez did that today. Damion Easley with a big day with 4 RBIs. David Wright, a couple of hits and 3 stolen bases. Mets had their A game today. Really put the pressure on Milwaukee and their starter, Chris Capuano.
So on Mother's Day, the Mets were in the pink. And Oliver Perez turned in a brilliant performance as Willie Randolph and company take 2 out of 3 from the upstart Brewers and win in dominating fashion today.
I think Oliver Perez has gotten himself to the point that he's not in that one good start, one bad start kind of mode. He's starting to expect excellence every time he's out there. You said, Gary, before, he started out slow, but he was able to, he got a little angry at himself, started throwing strikes, started getting ahead, and here's the result.
And unlike his last start, even when errors were made behind him, he was able to recover. Remember the start in San Francisco, a couple of errors, and the inning broke down on him. This time, Reyes and Wright both made errors. He was able to recover each time, and it wasn't until the 9th inning when he finally cracked and gave up the home run to Bill Hall that broke up the shutout and the bid for a 1-hitter. Kevin Burkhardt standing by with the heroes of the day. Kevin?
A couple of them, no doubt about that, Gary. And Carlos Gomez makes his major league debut. How did you feel today?
I feel great. That's my opportunity. I waited my 4 years for this, and I feel great.
When you were up at the plate your first time and you got your first hit, what was that like?
You know, I feel comfortable because I stay in big league camp, and I feel like I stay in my team like my family.
How about that diving catch in the outfield there? You have to show off your running skills out there to make that catch.
You know, I had a long time to play right field. It's my first game here, play right field. I feel a little bit confused for I catch, and I feel great.
Are you going to place a call to anyone before you go in the clubhouse just to kind of tell everybody that you played your first game, or does everybody know?
I don't know.
Are you getting your head shaved? That's the next question.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going under the knife. Hey, congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's turn to another hero of the game, Oliver Perez. And how badly did you want to finish this game today?
Yeah, because everyone can get a chance to get a shot out. That's good enough. But I just trying, and that's part of the game. So and he do a good job, and I think we won a really good game, and we have to do it tomorrow.
Was this one of the best games you've ever pitched?
I think because that was very special, because it's a Mother's Day, and that's very special for everybody. How a game like this, it just feel good, and I think my mom too.
Were you afraid that Reyes was going to run around you on that triple there? Did you think he'd catch up to you?
He told me like he was close to me. I just running and trying to score.
I noticed that when you got to the dugout, Ramon Castro was saying, "Hey, calm down, we got to finish this thing." Was he just giving you some words of encouragement there?
Yeah, because that was a good game. Got shoot out, but just happened. You have to continue to put your extra and trying to do that.
What does it do as a pitcher when you go out and already you have you pitch one inning and then you go out for the second and you've got 3 runs on the board? Does that relax you?
It's relaxing, but in your mind you have to put that's a close game, but you have to be in focus every pitch, try to get out the inning the quickly as you can.
How about this guy over here? Did you enjoy watching him play today?
Yes, he did a really good job, and I think he's excited because it's a first league game, and we want he continue to do the same.
Oliver Perez, Carlos Gomez, 2 of the heroes, guys. Thank you very much. Guys, back to you.
All right, Kevin, it was fun to watch both of them today.
Just unbelievable. Carlos Gomez, of course. Who knows how long he's going to be up, but what a great start.
Very confident kid. He said it took him a little while to relax in right field, but he certainly looked comfortable, and so did that guy. Oliver Perez, reason to celebrate today as the Mets win the rubber game for the Brewers 9-1. Back with more from Shea in a moment.
CW11 Weather Education Day at Shea with Mr. G and Linda Church. Get your school involved today. For more information, visit METS.com or call 718-507-TIXX.
The son of Felipe Alou, everybody always talks about me, about being Felipe Alou's son, but I think my mom deserves a lot more credit because she was the one that really brought me up, and she made me the man that I am right now.
Moises Alou voicing his affection for his mom on Mother's Day, and Mother's Day proved to be a A day for the Mets to remember, not only in terms of winning the rubber game of this series, but the big league debut of Carlos Gomez, and that was a lot of fun to watch. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Jeep, a growing line of legendary vehicles. By Chase, more locations, better branches, faster ATMs. By Nissan, the next generation Nissan Altima. By Metro Cable, get cable's triple play. Call 1-800-OK-CABLE. And by New York Life, the company you keep. Well, the Mets defeat the Brewers today on Mother's Day 9-1. Oliver Perez, the big story, carried a one-hit shutout into the ninth inning before Bill Hall broke it up with a home run. But it was a great effort by Perez, and his fourth win of the year. He probably could have a couple more than that with a little better support, but it's amazing watching the transformation of this guy from erratic pitcher to star pitcher.
Well, I think what has happened is that Rick Peterson and Oliver Perez have done so much work on the mechanics, making sure he hits that arm slot, and he's getting better and better as the season goes along. And I think you're going to get to a point where that arm slot and mechanics will not be an issue. The issue will be excellence by Oliver Perez and the chance for him to do stuff. Great game by Gomez, who saw us scoring a run. The triple by Jose Reyes, as Oliver Perez scored a big run and went that 180 feet, of course, scoring that run.
And you wonder whether he was a little gassed in the ninth inning after that.
I don't know. I think you're so excited as a pitcher when you have a chance, especially now, to have a chance to pitch a shutout. Would have been his third shutout. Didn't happen. Bill Hall put a licking on that fastball, but he's got to be happy with his effort. The Mets got to be happy winning 2 out of 3 from after watching him for 3 games. A very strong, talented Milwaukee Brewer team.
And with Perez's performance and the big league debut of Carlos Gomez, which was certainly impressive, it almost gets lost that Damion Easley had an enormous day today.
4 RBIs, another home run to get the Mets off to an advantage early. Fine defensive plays. He's just doing it all out there instead of Jose Valentin.
Meanwhile, Gomez, kind of a revelation. I mean, a lot of Met fans are not that familiar with Carlos Gomez. They've heard a lot about Lasting's Millage. They've seen him in the big leagues. They were familiar with Fernando Martinez because of his prospect status. But this guy, he's got a chance to be awfully good.
A great catch in right field. He'll see that on the highlight films all night tonight. And yes, he does. Short swing, great speed, great defensive player. And that outfield today, 17 fly ball outs gotten by Oliver Perez, mostly by the dynamic outfield.
Well, if you're going to have Chavez, Beltran, and Gomez out there, it's the day for that to happen with Perez, a fly ball pitcher on the mound. And, you know, Gomez is a guy who's here at least for the short term to replace Moises Alou in left field. But, you know, you look toward the longer term when you've got Alou and Green, your corner outfielders who are older players on short-term contracts. Gomez is part of the future of this franchise.
Oh, he definitely is. I think you're going to see him next year here playing right field, left field, whatever field, but he's going to be playing a lot.
Meanwhile, Mike Pelfrey goes down to the minor leagues to make room for Gomez on the roster. Pelfrey 0-5 and probably needed to go down.
I think he needed to go down. I think he needed a win. It didn't happen. He needs to go down there and work on his breaking pitches, really. Just never was able to establish that he could throw a changeup or a slider behind in the count. He'll go down and work on that. And for Thursday, his scheduled start, they're going to have some trouble figuring out who they want to bring up, whether it's Jason Vargas, who hasn't pitched that well, Chan-Ho Park, who was really hit in his last start. You've talked about a Kevin Mulvey, their number 1 pick. He's in Double-A. Maybe Aaron Seeley from within in their bullpen maybe gets a start if he doesn't have to pitch too many innings against Chicago in this 4-game series.
What about Pelfrey's psyche? I mean, is he devastated, do you think, at this point by what happened here? Or is it just part of the development of a young pitcher?
I think he's devastated, but, you know, the only person he knows that he can kick is himself. You get an opportunity in the big leagues. You got to make the most of it. He wasn't able to do that. He'll go down and work on it, and he'll get another shot. So when he comes up the next time, hopefully he'll get enough work down in AAA that when he comes back, it'll be a different Mike Pelfrey. Maybe the Mike Pelfrey that the team saw in spring training where he was dominant at times.
Well, we'll see who gets the next shot because El Duque is not going to be ready for that Thursday start against the Cubs. So with Pelfrey gone, somebody else will get an opportunity. And That's what this game's all about, isn't it? And that's why you stockpile starting pitchers.
Well, opportunity. You think to yourself, you bring up a pitcher or you bring up a guy like Carlos Gomez today. He gets his shot. He goes out there, gets a couple hits, scores a couple runs, steals a base, makes a fine catch. Those are the kind of things that happen when you give young players a shot, and Gomez did it today.
Well, the Mets win at 9-1 today. Carlos Gomez with a very successful big league debut and a great day for Oliver Perez as the Mets take 2 out of 3 from the Brewers. Back with more from Shea in a moment.
To the right, into the air to center field. Damion going back to the warning track. It's over his head, and the Mets win it. Damion Wright with a walk-off hit in the bottom of the ninth off Mariano Rivera, and the Mets have taken Game 1 from the Yankees, 7-6.
Well, that was a great Mets moment from last year, and the Yankees, of course, will be in next weekend here at Shea. Meanwhile, on the ChevyOffers.com out-of-town scoreboard, the Cubs trying to capture the finale of their series in Philadelphia after losing the first 3 games. The Pirates up big on the Braves behind Ian Snell today. Freddie Sanchez with a big day. The Nationals leading the Marlins after winning last night at 1:24 in the morning on Ryan Zimmerman's walk-off grand slam. As the Nationals getting good pitching today from Jason Simon-Tachi. The Astros, who have taken over second place in the National League Central, leading the Diamondbacks today behind the former Brewer Doug Davis. And the Giants up early on the Rockies, Cardinals and Padres later on, and the Reds and Dodgers as well. While here at Shea, the Mets have beaten the Brewers 9-1 to take 2 out of 3, and now welcoming the Cubs for 4 games. And the Cubs are interesting because they spent so much money in the offseason on Alfonso Soriano and on pitching, and early on they didn't have a lot to show for it, but they started to play better until they got to Philadelphia this weekend, now on the verge of trying to win one there, but it's been an up-and-down start for the Cubs.
It has been. I think for an organization that's been so closely attached to Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood, they're 2 great pitchers who are probably maybe both out for the season. They're starting to get away from that, get their own identity, and I think they're starting to get it under Lou Piniella. They've been playing really hard, tough baseball. They got some good starting pitching. I mean, the Mets are going to face Carlos Zambrano, Marquis, Rich Hill, who's gotten off to a quick start and only his second season. So the Mets will have their hands full with the Cubs this weekend.
And Marquis is an interesting guy. He'll come up and pitch tomorrow night against Tom Glavine because he's a native New York kid. He's always been a little bit of a hardhead in terms of clashing with pitching coaches, but he seems to have found some comfort in Chicago.
Yeah, and I think, he's a tough kid. Lou Piniella's a tough manager, so maybe that's some tough love there. But Marquis gotten off to a great start. Zambrano probably not off to the start that they expected from him. He's had a couple of leads that he's coughed up, but he's one of the best pitchers in the National League. And then Rich Hill, the left-hander, tall left-hander, has been very good for the Cubs. Got beat up the last couple of times out, but really started the season well. He's got that good changeup.
And Alfonso Soriano began the year in center field, got hurt, came back. They put him in left, and it seems as though that change has helped him out.
I think it has, and it's allowed him to hit better, hit a home run in yesterday's ball game. He's going to start showing some of that power.
Well, Alfonso Soriano certainly showing that he's worth all the money that they paid him, and they're hoping that they can bring a title to Chicago. But the way the Brewers have gotten off to a hot start, it's going to make it that much more difficult for the Cubs to come back. The Mets win this one 9-1 to cool off the Brewers. The Mets go to 23-13 on the season. Be sure to join us for our next Mets telecast on the CW11 Saturday, May 26th at 7 o'clock when the Mets play the Florida Marlins. Coming up next, it's According to Jim. Mother's Day at Shea Stadium, and a happy day for Carlos Gomez as he made his Major League debut, and a big day for Oliver Perez, who had a one-hit shutout going to the ninth. Damion Easley supplied the power, a homer and 4 RBIs. Gomez got a hit in his first big league at bat. He supplied some terrific defense as well, as the Mets put together a 9-1 win and take 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee. Now for Ron Darling and Kevin Burkhardt, I'm Gary Cohen at Shea. We'll see you tomorrow night.